Dr. Abdul Rahman was a prominent and highly regarded university professor at the Faculty of Science, Cairo University. He was a successful man, outstanding in his field, known among his colleagues, students, and the academic community for his knowledge, ethics, discipline, and strict commitment to professional standards. After earning his PhD degree, he continued his academic career until he became one of the shining and well-recognized names at his university. He was married and was blessed with 4 children. He raised them with excellent morals and strong values until they grew up. 2 of his children graduated, were appointed at the university, and became university professors like their father, while the rest of his children settled into respectable jobs and stable lives. As years passed, the children became busy with their own lives, responsibilities, careers, and families, leaving Dr. Abdul Rahman living alone as he advanced in age. In the year 2003, after long contemplation, deep thinking, and consideration, Dr. Abdul Rahman made the decision to marry again, searching for a young life partner who could assist him with the daily matters of life. His choice fell on a woman named Noha, who was 33 years old at the time. The marriage took place, and Noha moved to live with him in his apartment located in the Al Amrania district. At first, life seemed calm, stable, and somewhat balanced, but not long after, disagreements started to surface between the new wife and the professor's children. The children were not comfortable with her presence in their father's life, and she, in return, openly expressed her annoyance, discomfort, and resentment toward them. Family visits gradually turned into constant arguments, tension-filled encounters, and repeated disputes. 6 years after the second marriage, Dr. Abdul Rahman suddenly suffered from an unexpected illness that affected his eyes, causing him to lose his sight entirely in a short period of time. The shock was overwhelming. The professor collapsed emotionally, fell into despair, and knocked on every door of possible treatment, hoping for a cure, but all attempts failed. With time, he accepted the painful reality. From that moment on, Noha became his eyes, the person through whom he perceived the world. He turned from a respected university professor into a prisoner inside his own home. He no longer went outside. He spent his days sitting, listening to television and radio, depending only on sound and sensation after losing the blessing of sight. Even though he was blind, the professor's other senses began to grow stronger, sharper, and more alert than before. He started to feel that there was a strange person inside the house. He could smell an unfamiliar scent, a strong, sharp, penetrating odor that did not fade away. He repeatedly asked his wife, "Is there anyone in the house?" She always answered coldly and indifferently, "No, you are imagining things, there is no one." As days passed, her behavior toward him changed. She became cruel, harsh, forbidding him from going out, taking full control of his money, and insisting that he remain inside the house at all times. Even his assets and properties slowly began to be registered under her name without him realizing the magnitude of the disaster that was approaching. As conflicts increased and became more intense, the children chose to stay away from their father's home to preserve peace and avoid further friction. Each child moved on with his or her own personal life. Some got married, some rented separate apartments, and others became fully independent, building their own paths. Despite their physical distance, problems did not end. Each time they visited their father, a quarrel would erupt with Noha, until the situation reached a breaking point and all family ties between the father and his children were completely cut off. This was not because they hated him, but because they could no longer endure the endless confrontations. One day, Noha told her husband that her brother would come to visit him. The man entered the apartment, greeted Dr. Abdul Rahman, sat for a few minutes, and then left. Immediately after he left, the doctor asked her quietly, "Has this man ever entered the apartment before?" She answered nervously, "Yes, of course, why do you ask?" The doctor remained silent for a moment, then said, "Because I recognize this smell." It is the same smell I've been noticing in the house for days." It was a distinct, sharp, penetrating smell, similar to the odor of someone who works in a poultry shop. At that moment, Dr. Abdul Rahman realized that his feeling had not been imaginary, and that this man was not just a passing visitor. However, Noha became angry with him, ordered him to remain silent, accused him of imagination and obsession, and prevented him from asking again. Over time, it became clear that the man Noha introduced as her brother, named Salim, was not her brother at all. He was her lover, and secretly her customary husband. The greater shock was that Salim would sometimes enter the apartment and stay overnight while Dr. Abdul Rahman was present. On some nights, Salim would even hide under the bed so that the blind husband would not notice him. Dr. Abdul Rahman could not see, but he could feel, smell, and sense the danger. By 2013, Noha had turned 43, while Salim was 32, 11 years younger than her. She had met him when he worked at a live poultry shop, had been attracted to him, and their relationship quickly developed. He suggested opening a poultry shop beneath the building, taking advantage of the fact that the property belonged to her husband. Noha agreed, withdrew Dr. Abdul Rahman's money from the bank, and gave it to Salim to start the business. Over time, she did not stop there. She even sold 2 of her husband's apartments and handed all the proceeds to Salim, driven by blind emotional attachment. Dr. Abdul Rahman's home became a real prison. He was forbidden to leave, his phone was confiscated, the windows were closed, and Noha controlled all his movements. Whenever his wife went out, he would try to call the neighbors from the balcony or knock on doors, begging, "I am Dr. Abdul Rahman. Please, I want to contact my children." But Noha would return, beat him, tie him up, and prevent any communication with the outside world. Finally, Dr. Abdul Rahman realized that this man was not her brother, and that there was a forbidden relationship and a real danger surrounding him. Noha felt the threat. She feared exposure, that Dr. Abdul Rahman's children would demand their rights, or that she would be publicly revealed. She met with Salim and said to him, "If we do not get rid of him, we will be exposed. This man will not stay silent." And so, the most dangerous decision was made. One day, Noha and Salim killed Dr. Abdul Rahman in cold blood. But they did not stop there. They cut his body into 8 pieces. Salim carried the body parts in bags and threw them into a garbage container beneath the building, next to the poultry shop he owned. The plan was to mix the remains with poultry waste, so that no one would notice anything. But fate was faster. The sanitation company was delayed, and the smell of the body spread in the area. Neighbors complained, and the police arrived. When the container was opened, the shock was immediate. Human remains mixed with poultry leftovers. No confession was needed. All the evidence directly led to the poultry shop. Salim was arrested and did not hold out long. He confessed everything and accused Noha of instigating and planning. Then Noha was arrested, and she admitted her relationship, secret marriage, control over her husband, theft of his money, and his murder. A few days later, Dr. Abdul Rahman's children, who had previously filed complaints requesting to see their father, arrived and discovered the horrifying truth. Their father had been tied up, tortured, and imprisoned inside his home for years. The case was referred to court. After a long trial, the final verdict was issued: death by hanging for both Noha and Salim. Thus ended the story of a respected university professor who was not killed by illness or blindness, but by betrayal, greed, and the absence of mercy. In God's safety, this was our story. Until we meet again with a new story. Crescent Moon.